Chosen one. This is not another ordinary Sunday. Heaven leans close, its gates wide open, and your name has just been spoken in the courts above. You feel it, the stirring in your spirit, that divine electricity rushing through your veins. Something within you already knows this day carries weight, the kind that shifts destinies. You were not brought here by coincidence. No algorithm could orchestrate this moment. Heaven itself pressed pause on everything else just to reach you. Listen carefully. The Spirit whispers through the wind, through the silence, through the beating of your heart. You are seen. You are chosen. You are loved beyond measure. Every trial, every tear, every delay was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to refine you, to shape your hands, to hold what is coming. For today, the seals are being broken, and your long-awaited miracle is stepping through the veil. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 19, verse 26, "With man, this is impossible, but with God, all things are possible." Yes, chosen one, this is your moment to soar. The heaviness you've carried will lift. The fatigue that once drained your faith will dissolve like mist under the morning sun. The waiting season is closing, and in its place, divine acceleration begins. You are crossing over from asking to receiving, from hoping to beholding. Pause for a moment. Can you sense it? The atmosphere around you carries the scent of breakthrough. The very molecules of your environment are rearranging to align with heaven's decree. What once resisted you now recognizes you as marked, favored, and chosen. Doors that refuse to open are trembling. Chains that refuse to break are cracking. You are standing on holy ground. Beloved, God has been preparing you quietly. When you felt overlooked, heaven was setting the stage. When you felt abandoned, heaven was writing your re-entry scene. And when you were ready to give up, God whispered, "Hold on. I'm still writing." That's why you survived what others didn't. You are not ordinary. You carry divine DNA. You see, being chosen doesn't always feel glorious. It often feels heavy, lonely, misunderstood. But that's the mark of the called ones. The oil doesn't flow without crushing. The diamond doesn't shine without pressure. You endured both, and heaven calls you refined gold. Now, hear this clearly. Today is not about survival. It's about arrival. You've been tested, stretched, and shaken, but not to destroy you, only to anchor you deeper. God is shifting you from preparation to manifestation. Everything that once made you question your worth is about to be the reason others see God's glory in you. Look back one last time, not in regret, but in gratitude. Every valley taught you how to hear His voice. Every storm revealed who stood with you. Every delay trained your spirit to trust His timing. And now, the same hand that held you in the dark is the one unlocking the door to your promise. Chosen one. The heavens are applauding your endurance. The spiritual realm celebrates your faith, for your persistence has built an altar that now demands divine fire. The Lord is saying, "What you sowed in tears, you will reap in joy. What you released in faith, I now return multiplied." Take a deep breath and lift your eyes. You are not beneath, you are above. You are not behind, you are right on schedule. Heaven's timeline has collided with yours. Today, you walk in prophetic alignment. Now, as this message reaches you, Respond, not with hesitation, but with holy confidence. This is the moment to act as one who believes. Don't scroll away from destiny, stand in it. Lift your heart, open your mouth, and declare, I receive my miracle. Oh, and as a sign of faith, take this simple prophetic step right now. Like, share, and subscribe so that this message continues to reach every chosen one. Heaven is awakening across the earth. Let this not be just a moment you experience, but a movement you join. Your engagement becomes a ripple in the river of divine purpose. When you comment below, type these sacred numbers: 777, the symbol of divine completion. Let heaven see your agreement. Let the angels record your obedience. For what begins today will not end in disappointment. It will end in testimony, in transformation, in triumph. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are right where heaven needs you to be. And this Sunday, this great Sunday, is the one written in the scrolls long before your birth. The one marked as the day your miracle unlocks. Rise now, chosen one. Your wings are ready. The whisper that breaks the silence. This is the moment where heaven's voice pierces through the noise of the world and reaches the core of your being. Chosen one. You have spent countless nights asking, God, do you still hear me? And this very moment is his reply. It is not thunder, not spectacle, not lightning in the sky. It is the quiet whisper that carries all the authority of eternity. The whisper that says, you were never forgotten. There were times you mistook his silence for absence. Yet heaven was closer than your breath. When you thought your prayers disappeared into the void, they were actually being written in light upon the scrolls of destiny. Heaven was never ignoring you. It was preparing the stage for the precise second you would be ready to listen again. The whisper comes differently now. It no longer asks you to strive or chase what is yours. It asks you to be still, to breathe, to know that you are exactly where the divine needs you to be. It's not a whisper of instruction, it's a whisper of identity. It doesn't command, it confirms. It doesn't rush, it reassures. You've lived through seasons where the world was loud, where every voice competed for your attention, where chaos and comparison drowned out peace. Yet somewhere deep inside, there was always a frequency that belonged only to heaven. That sound is awakening again, inside you now. The voice that called light out of darkness is the same voice calling you by name. The same breath that spoke galaxies into motion is whispering over your destiny, saying, it is time. Oh, the ancient words recorded in 1 Kings, chapter 19, verset 12 declare, and after the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire, and after the fire came a gentle whisper. Yes, that gentle whisper, it carries more power than storms, more truth than the shouts of the world, more certainty than every doubt you've battled. For when God whispers, he isn't unsure, he is intimate. He doesn't shout to prove he's present, he whispers to prove he's near. Chosen one. This is how heaven trains your ears. You were not meant to live only by signs and wonders, but by discernment. The whisper is your training ground for authority. It is where revelation replaces confusion. It is where peace begins to roar louder than fear. There was a time when silence terrified you because it felt empty. Now, silence becomes sacred because it is full of him. That's the transformation. He turns your isolation into intimacy. Every time you sat alone, thinking no one understood. Heaven was teaching you to recognize the sound of His presence. Every tear that fell unseen was a signal. Heaven heard clearly. The whisper of God often begins in the same place where human words end in surrender. Close your eyes for a moment and remember those nights when you could no longer form prayers, only sighs. Heaven understood every one of them. The Spirit translated what your lips could not say into the very language of heaven. That's why, even when you thought your faith was too weak, grace kept sustaining you. There is a reason the whisper is gentle. It moves only through hearts that are humble. The proud demand proof, but the chosen discern presence. You, beloved, have been given ears that hear beyond circumstance. When others panic, you perceive. When others give up, you recognize the stillness before the breakthrough. That whisper has followed you into every room, every failure, every closed door. It never stopped speaking. You simply grew too weary to listen. But today, heaven amplifies it again. Peace. Be still. Ms 4. You are not behind. You are not lost. You are not forgotten. The whisper does not carry condemnation. It carries confirmation. It reminds you that your waiting was never wasted, and your silence was never empty. Listen closely. What if the very thing you've been asking God to shout has already been whispered to your heart? What if the answer is not coming to you, but awakening within you? This whisper is the doorway between seasons. Once you hear it, nothing can stay the same. It's not the beginning of noise, it's the end of confusion. Chosen one. When heaven whispers, creation must respond. Fear loses its voice. Doubt loses its footing. The storm loses its strength. You are not hearing an echo, you are hearing a calling. Let this whisper rest in you today. Don't rush to understand it. Let it unfold. For in the coming hours, everything that was unclear will begin to make sense. You will realize that heaven never stopped speaking. You were simply being tuned to the right frequency. And when you finally recognize His whisper in every breath, you will understand that the silence was never punishment. It was preparation. The weight you carried was prophetic. Yes, chosen one. Even your pain had purpose. You thought those burdens were punishments, but they were actually divine prophecies in disguise. Every sleepless night, every moment you said, "Why me?" Lord, they were not wasted. They were woven into heaven's training ground for the one you are becoming. There is something sacred about those who suffer in silence. The world saw only your struggles, but heaven saw your strength. Others only saw the tears. God saw the oil being pressed from your spirit. You were not being broken, you were being built. You were not being buried, you were being planted. The word of the Lord shines through Romans, chapter 8, verse 18. I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. Yes. The weight you carried was not a curse, it was an announcement. Heaven was revealing your calling through what tried to crush you. The heavier the load, the greater the destiny it was preparing you for. God never wastes pain. He repurposes it. He molds it into wisdom, compassion, and authority. You didn't realize it at the time, but every disappointment was chiseling away your dependence on human approval. Every betrayal was teaching you discernment. Every delay was training your patience. The wait was prophetic because it was revealing what kind of vessel you would become. Only those who endure the crushing can carry the anointing without leaking. chosen one. Remember the days when you carried what others couldn't even understand. You felt invisible. Yet heaven was watching every step. There were moments when your strength broke, when your prayers became whispers of exhaustion, and you thought it was over. But in those moments, something supernatural was happening. You were being stretched to fit your future. The crushing made room for glory. The breaking made room for light. You were being prepared not to collapse under blessing when it finally arrived. The same pain that humbled you will now qualify you to lift others. Heaven never trains warriors with comfort, it trains them with conflict. Every battle you faced was heaven's classroom. Every tear you shed was an offering. Every time you refused to give up, you were declaring, "I trust you, even when I don't understand you." And that declaration became a key in the spirit. When the world turned away, you learned the sound of God's footsteps in solitude. When support vanished, you discovered divine companionship. When you lost what you thought you needed, heaven showed you what you could live without. You came out lighter, sharper, stronger. Don't despise the weight. It was never meant to crush you, but to crown you. The heaviness was your evidence of calling. The reason others didn't face what you faced is because they weren't anointed to carry what you carry. You are not weak because you felt weary. You are strong because you kept walking. Now, hear this truth. The pain you carried will soon become the platform you stand on. Every wound is transforming into a weapon. Every scar is becoming a sermon. You will speak life into others, precisely because you've been through the valley of shadows and didn't die there. You are proof that endurance births revelation. The world sees resilience as survival. Heaven calls it prophecy fulfilled. What was meant to end you has turned into the evidence that you cannot be broken. You endured fire and came out refined, not ruined. That's why your light now carries a different glow. It's not the brightness of ambition, but the brilliance of redemption. Chosen one. Your pain prophesied your position. You were misunderstood because you were ahead of your time. You were rejected because you carried a fragrance of heaven that earth wasn't ready for. But the same ones who questioned your struggle will soon witness your rising. The weight has shifted now. The same pressure that once held you down is now the power lifting you up. God is turning what was heavy into holy. You are stepping into a season where every ounce of pain will translate into purpose. Right now, pause and let gratitude rise. You're still standing. That alone is proof of divine favor. You didn't crumble. You evolved. You didn't drown. You learned how to walk on water. You didn't lose. You were redirected toward destiny. And as you breathe in this truth, type these words as a declaration of faith in the comments below. I rise again. Now, write it boldly, not as a phrase, but as a prophecy. Let the heavens record your resilience. For when you declare, I rise again, you align with every promise that was spoken over you before time began. You are testifying that the weight did not destroy you, it defined you. The same God who allowed the crushing has now declared the unveiling. The same heaven that watched you struggle now commands your victory. Chosen one. The prophecy hidden in your pain is about to speak, and when it does, it will echo across generations, proof that nothing surrendered to God ever stays buried. Heaven's calendar has reached your name, chosen one. You must understand something sacred. Heaven does not work by coincidence, but by divine timing. Every delay, every detour, every unanswered prayer was written into the rhythm of eternity. The things you thought were postponed were merely being prepared. The things you thought you lost were never gone. They were being reserved for the appointed moment. And that moment is now. You've waited long, haven't you? You've watched others receive their answers while you sat in silence, wondering if heaven had overlooked you. You questioned if perhaps you missed your chance, if maybe your time had passed. But hear this truth whispered from the throne. Heaven's clock never runs late. It moves by divine synchronization, and your name has just illuminated upon its calendar. There's a sound in the spirit, a trumpet of alignment, declaring that your season has shifted. The waiting room has turned into a birthing room. Everything that once felt still is now stirring beneath the surface. You might not see it yet, but the divine machinery is in motion. You are standing at the edge of manifestation, as was spoken in the sacred texts of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 1. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under heaven. No, yes, your time has come, not a random moment, not an accidental opening, but the ordained hour heaven marked long before you were formed. The storms you survived were not delays, they were preparations for visibility. You were hidden because exposure too soon would have destroyed the purpose within you. Heaven protects before it promotes. Chosen one. The rhythm of your life has never been out of tune. It was simply orchestrated to play in heaven's tempo. While you were questioning the silence, heaven was writing the symphony. The pauses between the notes were not absence, they were intentional rests that allowed the next movement to rise in power. You see, divine timing is often disguised as divine delay. The Creator hides your breakthrough behind patience, so that when it arrives, it can't be stolen or mishandled. You had to grow into the strength that could carry the weight of what's now being released. The old you would have fumbled it, the refined you will steward it. Remember when you cried and felt like your prayers bounced back unheard? Those prayers were never ignored, they were accumulating, layering faith upon faith, until the fullness of time arrived. Every not yet was heaven saying, wait until it's perfect. And now, chosen one, perfection has collided with purpose. This is the moment when everything starts to make sense. You'll look back and realize that every closed door was a redirection to the right one. Every heartbreak prepared your heart for divine love. Every wilderness trained your discernment for promise. Heaven was never punishing you, it was positioning you. You may have thought you were late, but in truth, you are early because God is about to do more than you asked for, faster than you expected. What took years to build will shift in moments. What seemed impossible will suddenly become inevitable. Divine acceleration is the proof that the appointed time has arrived. Chosen one. You must walk differently now. The posture of waiting no longer suits you. Stand tall, for you have entered fulfillment's hour. Speak differently. 2. Let your words reflect readiness, not resignation. There is no more someday. There is only now. End quote. Every prophecy whispered over you is being activated in sequence. The things that once resisted you are now required to align with you. Heaven's decrees have gone forth, and creation itself bends to obey them. The name written in the schedule of eternity, your name has been highlighted in golden light. The angels assigned to your destiny are already moving at command. There's a hush in the spirit world, a sacred silence before the unveiling. You've been prepared for such a time as this. Everything you've endured was part of this orchestration. It all had to happen exactly as it did, so that you could stand here stronger, wiser, unshakable. Take a breath and feel the stillness of divine precision around you. This is the peace that comes when striving ends. You are no longer trying to make things happen. You are stepping into what heaven already finished. The Creator's calendar does not miss appointments, and yours has arrived right on time. Soon, what you've believed in secret will be visible in public. What you've prayed for quietly will echo loudly through your testimony. The hands of time are no longer ticking in delay, they're ringing with divine arrival. Chosen one. Heaven's timing is not coming, it's here. The gate is open. The hour has struck. The name on heaven's calendar is yours. Walk forward in holy confidence, not because you forced the door open, but because heaven just unlocked it for you. A call to rise, share, and declare chosen one. This is where heaven invites you not only to receive, but to release. The miracle that touches your life today is not meant to end with you, it's meant to ripple outward, like light breaking through stained glass, scattering color across the walls of the world. You have been entrusted with a story, and stories are seeds. When shared, they multiply. When hidden, they wither. You've been walking with a flame that refuses to die. Sometimes it's flickered in the wind of hardship. Sometimes it's dimmed beneath tears. But it never went out. That flame is your testimony, the proof that light wins. And now, the Spirit whispers, lift it higher. Let others see by the glow of what God has done in you. The ancient words recorded in Matthew, chapter 5, verse 16 remind us, let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. Chosen one. Your story is a lantern in a world stumbling through shadows. Every like you press, every word you share, every heart you reach, it's not about numbers, it's about souls. Think of it as planting lanterns along a dark road so that others can find their way home. Your voice may feel small, but remember, so does a spark before it becomes a fire. When you share light, you become part of heaven's chain reaction. Someone scrolling aimlessly could see your reflection of faith and feel something awaken inside them. Someone ready to give up could read your words and remember that God still moves. That's how heaven works. It multiplies miracles through the willing hearts of its chosen ones. To rise doesn't always mean to climb. Sometimes it means to lift others. And to lift others, you must first let your own light be visible. Do not dim it in fear of judgment or misunderstanding. The world needs your sound, your scars, your sincerity. There's someone waiting to hear your story told in your tone. Think of your faith like a candle in a cathedral. When another believer lights their candle from yours, your flame doesn't diminish, it grows brighter. Each act of sharing, each moment you shine, becomes a link in the chain of divine awakening. Heaven celebrates every flicker. There's a power in declaring truth publicly. It's not pride, it's proclamation. It says, I have seen the goodness of God, and I refuse to hide it. When you testify, you don't just speak, you open gates. The spiritual atmosphere shifts. Darkness loses ground. Fear loses its grip. Beloved, you have no idea who is watching you in secret, drawing courage from your perseverance. There are hearts that beat stronger because you refuse to quit. There are prayers being whispered tonight because your light proved that faith still works. Every act of sharing becomes a prophetic echo that carries farther than your own reach. So, when you press like, you are not merely interacting, you are agreeing with heaven's message. When you share, you are sowing the word into the digital soil of the world. When you subscribe, you are anchoring yourself to a continuous stream of divine reminders, so that your flame never flickers alone again. These are not just clicks or gestures, they are spiritual acts. Imagine it like standing beside a well of living water. You take one sip, then call out to others. There's water here. That is what your engagement does. It tells others that the well hasn't run dry, that miracles still flow, that hope still heals, that heaven is still near. Your voice matters. Chosen one. Every echo of faith you send forth carries an anointing that doesn't fade. The moment you speak, the moment you share, heaven breathes through your words. Angels carry them farther than you can imagine. You are not promoting content, you are releasing kingdom current. Rise today with intention. Use your hands not just to scroll, but to sow. Use your platforms not just to display, but to declare. Every gesture of agreement is an act of worship when done with a pure heart. Do it not out of duty, but out of gratitude, for the one who healed you deserves to be spoken of. The light that lifted you out of despair deserves to shine through you, and the grace that carried you deserves to flow onward, touching lives you may never meet. Chosen one. This is not about growing an audience, it's about awakening an army. Every click, every word, every share becomes a trumpet of testimony, calling others out of darkness. Together, we become a chorus of light, singing one unbroken truth. He still saves. He still speaks. He still reigns. So, lift your flame high. Let the world see what God has done. Let your small light join countless others until the night itself begins to glow. Heaven's story is not complete until you tell yours. Rise, share, shine, and as you do, remember, each act of faith becomes another heartbeat in the rhythm of revival. The angelic alignment. Chosen one. Heaven has moved. The unseen is no longer still. The angels assigned to your destiny are in formation, wings trembling with the urgency of divine instruction. The prayers you thought were suspended in the air have now been transformed into assignments in the hands of messengers of light. What you could not make happen by strength or strategy is being orchestrated by forces you cannot see. There is movement in the invisible realm. You may not hear the flutter, but the shift is undeniable. Circumstances once locked in place are beginning to loosen. Opportunities once hidden are surfacing. Delays that felt endless are dissolving like fog before sunrise. This is the season of angelic alignment, when heaven arranges every detail to match the blueprint written over your life. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Psalm chapter 91, verse 11, "For he will command his angels concerning you, to guard you in all your ways." End quote. You have not been walking alone. The presence that surrounds you has always been thicker than you realized. There were moments when you narrowly escaped harm, when you felt peace that made no sense. When help came from nowhere, those were not coincidences. They were angelic interventions. Heaven has been weaving protection around you like armor woven of light. Chosen one. These celestial beings are not distant myths. They are heaven's loyal soldiers. They move with purpose, never wasting motion, never disobeying divine order. Some stand guard over your sleep. Others fight unseen battles to clear your path. And now, by divine command, they are shifting the terrain beneath your feet. When angels align, the natural must bow to the supernatural. The closed door must open. The locked gate must release. The impossible must yield. They go ahead of you, not to replace your faith, but to amplify it, to make sure your obedience meets opportunity at the right time. You may sense restlessness in the air, dreams vivid, timing strange. That is the language of angelic movement. Heaven's schedule is tightening around your destiny, and the signs are everywhere. What you thought was random is synchronization. What felt delayed is alignment. There is a sacred order in the chaos, a rhythm beneath the noise. The angels are setting things in sequence, turning detours into divine corridors. They are pulling you away from distractions that could drain your focus and guiding you toward divine intersections, places where miracles wait, disguised as ordinary moments. Your obedience is their signal. Every time you choose faith over fear, it activates them. Every time you speak life instead of doubt, you strengthen their charge. When you forgive, you open gates. When you worship, you release reinforcements. Heaven responds to humility, and angels move to the rhythm of trust. Beloved, you have reached a point where heaven will no longer let you wander. The guidance will be precise now. Expect coincidences that make no earthly sense, chance meetings, timely messages, sudden clarity. These are not accidents, they are angelic coordinates. Each one leads you closer to fulfillment. You may have felt invisible in this world, but you are luminous in the spirit realm. Heaven knows your name, and the angels know your scent, the fragrance of perseverance and faith. That is why the resistance has been strong. Darkness always fights most fiercely where heaven is most active. But fear not. You are surrounded. The very air around you hums with divine activity. The same God who commands the stars to shine commands angels to move on your behalf. The alignment is not coming. It is unfolding right now. In days to come, you'll notice subtle signs, unexpected peace, divine timing, words spoken through strangers that echo heaven's promises. That's not coincidence, it's confirmation. The invisible world is leaning toward you. Now, chosen one, this is the moment to respond in faith. Heaven moves through agreement. As you read these words, let your spirit rise in recognition. You are not abandoned. You are accompanied. You are not waiting for heaven. Heaven is waiting for your yes. And as a prophetic act, type this number in the comments below. 444, a divine code symbolizing angelic presence and protection. When you write it, you are not performing ritual, you are releasing resonance. You are saying, I align with heaven's order. I receive divine protection. I walk under angelic covering. Every digit you type becomes a sound in the spirit, signaling your awareness of the holy army that surrounds you. Do not doubt the unseen, for the unseen is more real than the visible. Your steps are guarded. Your way is prepared. Your atmosphere is filled with command. The angels are not far, they are near, waiting for your faith to give them flight. You are moving through a sacred corridor now. The wind at your back is not mere breeze, it is the breath of heaven guiding you forward. Trust it, follow it, and remember, when heaven aligns, nothing can misalign you. The breaking of invisible chains. Chosen one. You can feel it, can't you? That subtle trembling in your spirit, that quiet shattering in the unseen. It's not fear, it's freedom. Something that held you captive for years is losing its grip. What once wrapped around your mind like iron is cracking beneath the power of revelation. Heaven is whispering, enough. And for too long, invisible chains have restrained your movement. You walked forward but felt resistance that had no visible source. You prayed, but the answers seemed caged. You dreamed, but the dreams dissolved before they could breathe. Yet heaven never stopped watching. There comes a moment in every divine story where God says, "Now," and the unseen begins to break. The prophet declared in Isaiah, chapter 58, verse 6, "Is not this the fast that I have chosen to loose the chains of injustice and untie the cords of the yoke? To set the oppressed free and break every yoke." Those words are not history, they are happening. The cords that strangled your peace are being untied. The generational voices that whispered, "You will never rise," are being silenced. The cycle that repeated pain after pain is being interrupted by divine decree. Chosen one. These chains were subtle. They didn't always appear as tragedy, they hid inside patterns. Fear disguised as caution. Guilt disguised as responsibility. Shame disguised as humility. Each link forged by lies you unknowingly believed. But heaven has exposed them now. And exposure is the beginning of deliverance. There's a strange sound in the spirit when chains break. It's not loud, but it echoes deeply. It's the sound of the oppressed taking their first breath of freedom. You may not realize it, but that sound is coming from you. The things that once defined you, failure, heartbreak, rejection, are losing their authority. Freedom is not only about escape, it's about identity. You are not just walking out of captivity, you are remembering who you've always been. The true you, the one God envisioned before the world began, has been waiting behind those bars, whispering, "Let me live again." And now, she rises. Heri says, the divine image within you stretches its wings after years of confinement. When invisible chains break, there's often no dramatic sign, no visible explosion, only stillness. Suddenly, what once terrified you doesn't hold the same power. What once triggered tears now meets peace. You wake up one morning and realize, I'm not afraid anymore. That's freedom. Quiet, steady, eternal, chosen one. You fought long enough to earn that quiet. You've endured nights where your own thoughts were your enemies, where memories replayed like cruel echoes. You've carried burdens that didn't belong to you, guilt from others, weight from generations, responsibility for things you couldn't control. But heaven saw, and heaven intervened. You were never meant to live bound. The light within you was too radiant for confinement. You carry anointing that shatters structures. That's why the enemy fought so hard to cage your voice. Every attack against you was proof of your spiritual authority. Chains do not form around the powerless, they form around the dangerous. Now that you know who you are, you can't go back. The cage door is open, and heaven won't let you pretend you're still trapped. The freedom you walk in will be quiet, but undeniable. It will show in the way you speak, in the way you forgive, in the way you no longer flinch when the past tries to call your name. The breaking of chains is not just about release, it's about restoration. The time you lost in bondage will return to you, multiplied. The relationships you thought destroyed will be healed in divine timing. The confidence that once crumbled will rise from the ashes, stronger than before. Chosen one. Remember this: what breaks in the spirit stays broken. No force of darkness can reforge what heaven has shattered. You are not just stepping out of chains, you are stepping into inheritance. Every step forward declares, "It is finished." One, take this moment to breathe deeply. Inhale grace. Exhale guilt. Inhale peace. Exhale fear. That rhythm is heaven's heartbeat moving through you. You are no longer fighting to be free. You are learning how to live as one who already is. In the coming days, you'll notice changes. The places that once triggered anxiety will no longer drain you. The faces that once reminded you of pain will lose their sting. The patterns that repeated for years will suddenly stop. That's not coincidence. That's the sound of heaven keeping its promise. So walk light. Chosen one. The weight is gone. The spiritual atmosphere around you has shifted. You are not your past, not your failures, not your mistakes. You are free, and freedom looks good on you. Your enemies witness the glory chosen one. The season of hiddenness is over. For a long time, heaven kept you covered, developing your strength in silence, allowing misunderstandings to guard your purpose. But now, the covering is lifting, and light is revealing what God was shaping all along. The very ones who dismissed you will be the first to recognize that you were never abandoned. You were being anointed in secret. This is not a story of revenge. It is a story of revelation. Heaven does not humiliate your enemies. It educates them. The same mouths that once spoke against you will be forced to testify of what only God could do. The same eyes that look down on you will see the radiance of divine favor resting on your life. And when they see it, they will know, this could not have been human effort. This is the hand of God. We are reminded through the writings of Psalm chapter 23, verse 5. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. That table is not just a metaphor, it's a moment. The feast God sets before you is not for boasting, but for confirmation. It's heaven's way of saying, I told you I would finish what I started. Your enemies become witnesses, not to your pride, but to God's promise fulfilled. Heaven never allows pain without purpose. Every insult was an invitation for refinement. Every rejection purified your motives. Every betrayal trimmed away false attachments so that only truth remained. You didn't lose people, you lost confusion. You didn't lose opportunities, you lost distractions. And now that you've been refined, you're stepping into visibility, not as a victim, but as a vessel. The radiance around you is not pride, it's presence. It's the quiet confidence of someone who knows they're backed by heaven. Chosen one. When God raises you, He makes sure everyone sees not to glorify you, but to glorify the one who sustained you. The miracle is not only that you made it, but that you made it without hatred in your heart. That's what truly shocks the darkness. You forgave when vengeance was easy. You blessed when bitterness was tempting. You chose heaven's way when hell demanded reaction. Now, as you walk in this new light, remember, your success is not a weapon, it's a witness. You don't need to look back to prove anything. The best way to silence your enemies is to keep glowing. The more you rise in humility, the more heaven multiplies your reach. You are not meant to return fire, you are meant to burn brighter. When divine glory manifests, it changes the atmosphere. Those who once wished for your downfall will find themselves convicted by the peace you carry. Some will apologize, others will stay silent. But either way, they will know they misjudged the chosen one. There will be invitations now, conversations reopening, opportunities returning. But be discerning. You are not being lifted to revisit old cycles. You are being elevated to model divine mercy. Glory requires grace to sustain it. Don't allow old pain to enter your new palace. God's glory upon your life is not loud, it's luminous. It doesn't demand attention, it draws it naturally. People will be drawn to your peace, your balance, your faith that no longer flinches. What once provoked you now only deepens your calm. That's the fruit of transformation. Chosen one. The presence of your enemies is proof that you've entered the table season. You are sitting in the center of prophecy fulfilled. What once made you cry now makes you worship. What once broke you now blesses you. And here's the secret. This was never about them, it was always about you, learning who you truly are in the eyes of heaven. The spotlight is not revenge, it's revelation. God does not expose to shame, He exposes to show His signature on your life. Your enemies will watch, not your arrogance, but your ascension. They will see love where they expected spite. They will hear peace where they expected complaint. And they will know that what crowns you is not pride, it is purpose. Stand firm. Chosen one. Your light is your testimony. Your calm is your authority. The time for proving yourself is over. Now comes the time for revealing what heaven has been crafting behind closed doors. The story that once hurt you will soon heal others. And the witnesses who once doubted will find faith again because of what they see in you. This is what it means to be chosen to become living evidence of divine glory. The heavens lean in closer now. Chosen one. The air around you hums with recognition. Heaven knows your name, and earth is about to echo it. You've endured the quiet years, the misunderstood seasons, the moments when you felt invisible to both man and miracle. But this is the hour of response. What you whisper is being amplified in heaven's halls. The divine exchange begins not with noise, but with acknowledgement. It's time to speak again. Not with fear, but with faith. The words that once trembled on your tongue are now swords forged in the fire of endurance. When you open your mouth, heaven listens. When you agree with God, creation adjusts. This is not poetic language, it's spiritual law. Agreement with the divine shifts everything, as the Apostle reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians. Chapter 4, verse 17. For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all. The weight you feel now is not punishment, it's promotion. Heaven never allows heaviness without hidden glory. Every tear that watered the ground beneath you has become seed for revelation. You are no longer surviving the storm. You are becoming the storm that brings restoration. Chosen one. Your voice carries a resonance that cannot be ignored anymore. The silence that once surrounded your prayers was not rejection, it was resonance waiting for release. The moment you speak again, the echo will travel farther than you ever imagined. That's why this moment is sacred. It's not enough to just believe internally. There's power in declaring aloud what heaven already knows about you. Every spoken word is a spiritual signature, confirming your identity and aligning your reality. When you say, "I believe," heaven answers, "We agree." You've been through a refining so deep that your words now carry weight. They are not idle expressions. They are instruments of manifestation. Every syllable is soaked with the oil of experience. You've prayed through pain, hoped through silence, trusted through heartbreak. And now, when you speak, heaven responds with authority. That's why this section isn't just about listening, it's about participating. There is an invisible altar before you right now, built by every yes you've whispered in faith. It's time to seal what heaven has begun by responding from your heart, even in a few simple words. In this moment of divine alignment, type below as your declaration, "I receive it." End of quote. It's more than a comment, it's a covenant. When you write those 3 words, you are signing your agreement with heaven's decree. You are saying, "I'm not resisting anymore. I'm ready for what was promised." That act of faith may seem small, but in the unseen, it thunders. The angels record it. The atmosphere shifts. Resistance loses ground. Don't underestimate the simplicity of obedience. Sometimes heaven hides power inside the plainest gestures. It's not the eloquence that matters, it's the agreement. A whispered yes can break more curses than 1,000 loud speeches. A single act of faith can open a floodgate of favor. Chosen one. The alignment you're stepping into requires response. You cannot remain silent while heaven is speaking your name. God doesn't need your perfection. He this year is your participation. He's not asking you to move mountains. He's asking you to move your heart. Think of it like this. When lightning strikes, it needs a conductor. Your faith is that conductor. Your words draw divine energy into the physical realm. When you type, "I receive it," you are planting lightning rods of faith into the soil of your destiny, and heaven responds, sending fire where you've built altars. This moment is personal. No crowd, no noisy. Just you and heaven having a sacred exchange. This isn't about emotion, it's about alignment. The entire spiritual realm recognizes agreement when it happens. Chain, loosen. Obstacles shift. Delays dissolve. The glory that once felt far away begins to settle around you. You might even feel it, the air becoming heavier with peace. Your heart steadying in assurance. That's what divine confirmation feels like. Heaven doesn't shout, it surrounds. You have lived long enough in survival mode. This moment marks the shift to revival mode. The same faith that sustained you through struggle will now sustain you through abundance. But it starts with surrender. The hand of God never forces, it invites. This is your invitation to step fully into alignment. Don't analyze it. Don't delay it. Just say it. I receive it. Let those words echo through your being until even your doubts bow to them. Let them become the melody you hum when fear tries to return. Chosen one. This is the sound of heaven recognizing agreement. The moment you respond, light meets life, and purpose begins to unfold. The miracle doesn't start when you see it, it starts when you say it. And so, as heaven listens, let your voice be counted among the faithful. Type it, whisper it, breathe it, I receive it. Let those 3 words become your declaration of destiny. Heaven has already said yes. Now it's your turn to agree. crowned in the midst of chaos, chosen one. The crown was never meant to be given in calm. Heaven places it upon your head while the winds still howl, while the dust still swirls, while the noise of the world tries to drown out the whisper of destiny. You are not crowned when the battle ends. You are crowned because you refused to bow in the middle of it. For too long, you mistook endurance for delay. You thought the chaos meant you were far from breakthrough. But in heaven's order, storms are coronation ceremonies. The lightning is not against you. It's the trumpet of your announcement. Every clash, every resistance, every unexpected storm only proved that you were standing where authority was being established. As the apostle reminds us in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 4, verse 8, "Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day, and also to all who long for him." Beloved, imagine this. A king does not receive his crown in silence, but before the gathered kingdom. In the same way, your trials have become the audience for your transformation. The same chaos that tried to bury you will now bear witness, as heaven says, "This one belongs to me." Your composure in the storm confuses darkness. When you choose calm over fear, praise over panic, faith over frenzy, you shift atmospheres. You show the world that authority isn't loud, it's steady. The truly crowned do not shout their status. They simply stand tall and let peace do the speaking. And peace, chosen one, is contagious. It draws hearts that are weary. It comforts those who feel lost. That's why your journey matters. You are a living sermon wrapped in skin. Every person who crosses your path is meant to catch a glimpse of that quiet radiance, the glow of someone who knows where their crown came from. Now listen closely. The light resting on you was never meant to stop at your shoulders. When you carry truth, it multiplies only when shared. Think of it like pouring water from one vessel to another. It doesn't diminish the first, it fills the next. So as you rise, let your story flow outward. When you like, share, or subscribe, you're not promoting a message, you're extending the kingdom. You are throwing breadcrumbs of hope into the digital wilderness so that someone lost might find their way home. Picture this. Each click is a lantern lit in the valley of confusion. Every share is another bridge over someone's despair. A simple action from you might be the rope that pulls a stranger out of the flood of hopeless scrolling. You are not just a viewer, you are a vessel. When you subscribe, you're building connection like joining hands across a vast field of souls who all carry light. Together, the glow grows stronger. No single candle can outshine the night, but 1,000 burning in unity can turn it into morning. That is what happens when you engage with sincerity. Do it not for attention, but for alignment. You are part of something larger than pixels and words. You are part of heaven's digital revival. The screen is only the surface. Beneath it flows the river of spirit, carrying messages to hearts you may never meet. This is how you reign amid chaos, not by control, but by compassion, not by standing on top of others, but by lifting them. You reign through humility, through presence, through persistence. Your crown is not made of gold, but of grace. It glimmers every time you forgive, every time you speak life, every time you dare to shine in the middle of a storm. So, as you continue to walk through your week, remember this: the crown is not just on your head, it's in your actions. Every time you choose light, you polish it. Every time you share hope, you raise it higher. Every time you lift another, the jewels gleam brighter. Chosen one. Heaven has crowned you not for applause, but for assignment. And part of that assignment is to let the light move through you. Unhindered. Unashamed. So stand tall. Smile. Even in the wind. Let others see how peace looks when it wears a crown. And if this message speaks to your spirit, let your simple acts of engagement become your way of saying, I wear my crown with purpose. Because the world doesn't just need to hear the truth, it needs to see it walking, breathing, glowing through you. The oil of restoration poured out, chosen one. This is the hour when what was lost begins to return, not in fragments, but in fullness. Heaven has been measuring your endurance, not to test your worth, but to prepare the vessel of your heart for overflow. Every drop of pain you've endured has created capacity for greater blessing. What once drained you is about to be filled with divine abundance. There is a fragrance in the air, the scent of restoration. It's not nostalgia for what used to be. It's the aroma of something new being born out of what was broken. You see, heaven never restores you to where you were. It restores you to where you should have been if nothing had been stolen. Restoration is not repayment, it's redemption. According to what is revealed in the book of Joel, chapter 2, verse 25, I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten. Oh, those words were not poetic, they were prophetic. Every wasted season, every missed opportunity, every betrayal that fractured your hope, they are being counted by heaven. Time itself bends to the command of God when restoration is spoken. What you thought was gone forever is being rewritten into your timeline, renewed and transformed. You've lived through seasons where you felt emptied out, where all that once brought joy became hollow, where plans crumbled into dust, where the fire within you flickered low. You wondered if anything good could rise again from those ashes. But now, the same hand that allowed the crushing is pouring oil upon those ashes, turning them into perfume. That's how heaven works. The oil is born through pressure. The sweetest fragrance comes from what was once bruised. Every wound has become an altar where heaven now pours healing. You are not being rebuilt. The same, you are being reborn. Different, stronger, wiser, anointed. This oil doesn't just touch your spirit, it moves through every layer of your life. It softens hardened hearts around you. It reconciles where words have failed. It attracts opportunities aligned with your purpose. This is not luck, it's divine magnetism. When heaven restores, it does so publicly enough that others see, and privately enough that only you understand the cost. Chosen one. Restoration is heaven's proof that your story was never random. Every chapter you wish to erase is now becoming evidence of divine authorship. The years you thought were wasted were actually years of root growth underground. The fruit was delayed, not denied. Listen closely. You are entering a season where things will return to you quietly, almost gently. You won't have to chase what's meant for you. It will recognize your scent and find its way home. Lost opportunities will circle back as if time paused for your readiness. Relationships that broke from misunderstanding will realign through maturity. Finances that once leaked away will flow again. But this time with wisdom guiding the stream. The oil of restoration is not only about recovery, it's about revelation. As it flows, it will show you why certain things had to break, why certain people had to leave, why certain prayers had to wait. You'll realize it was never about loss, it was about learning trust at a deeper level. When oil touches your life, it makes everything shine again. The dullness leaves, the heaviness lifts. The same places that once felt empty become sacred. You'll find yourself walking lighter, speaking with gentleness, and carrying an unexplainable peace. That's how you know restoration has begun. It brings balance, not noise. And the beauty of this oil is that it doesn't run dry. Once heaven starts pouring, it continues. The more gratitude you express, the more flow you experience. Gratitude keeps the oil fresh. Complaint blocks it. That's why the next phase of your journey is about stewardship, not striving. You don't need to prove anything anymore. You don't need to perform for acceptance. You simply need to live aware that you are restored, that nothing truly good was ever lost, only transformed. Look back for a moment, not to mourn, but to marvel. The moments that nearly broke you have become the very soil from which this new strength grows. The people who left made space for heaven's replacements. The seasons that felt empty were actually filled with invisible grace. Chosen one. The oil is here now. It's seeping into the cracks of your story, healing what words could not. It's coating your past with mercy, your present with peace, and your future with promise. From this moment on, you will walk differently, not as one trying to recover, but as one already restored. The fragrance that follows you will be unmistakable. Others will sense it before you speak. They won't know what changed. They'll just feel that something holy rests upon you. That's the oil, the quiet mark of divine restoration. Prophetic, number 777, the seal of completion. Chosen one. There are moments in heaven's timeline when everything aligns so perfectly that the Spirit itself seems to pause in reverence. You are standing in such a moment now. What was started in tears is ending in triumph. What began in uncertainty is concluding in divine clarity. Heaven's pen has reached the final stroke on this chapter of your waiting, and written across the page is one word: complete. Completion is not the same as ending. Endings close doors. Completion fulfills purpose. When heaven declares something complete, it means nothing was wasted. Every tear, every battle, every delay was woven into the masterpiece. You may have felt like your progress was slow, but heaven was painting detail by detail, preparing you for a work of art that only time could reveal. The voice of God thundered in the book of Revelation, chapter 21, verse 6. It is done. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. Those words echo through eternity, resounding now within your spirit. It is done. The striving can cease. The self-doubt can rest. The burden of proof can fall away. You are no longer in the middle. You are in the manifestation. Chosen one. The completion doesn't mean you have no more mountains to climb. It means the mountain you've been facing has finally bowed to your authority. What once seemed insurmountable is now behind you. Heaven has signed its approval. The seal of completion has been pressed upon your life. You can feel it, can't you? That sense of finality, that deep exhale your soul has been longing for. The tension that used to hum beneath your skin has begun to quiet. You no longer need to push. You simply need to receive. Completion often feels like peace, not applause. It doesn't announce itself with thunder, but with stillness. It doesn't boast, it breathes. Heaven completes gently, like an artist brushing the last line of a masterpiece, then stepping back in silence, smiling at the work done well. Chosen one, you are that masterpiece. You carry the fingerprints of divine craftsmanship. Heaven has been sculpting your strength through trials, chiseling your faith through endurance, and polishing your perspective through patience. And now, the process reveals its beauty. You may look at certain parts of your story and still see cracks. But remember, heaven calls those cracks completed places. They are where the light leaks through. The seal of completion does not erase scars. It redeems them. It turns wounds into windows. This is why your peace feels different now. You're no longer asking, "When will it happen?" but rather whispering, "So this is what it was all for." That shift in understanding is the sign that heaven's work has settled. You are walking not toward wholeness, you are walking in it. Completion is heaven's exhale, but it's also earth's cue to respond. When heaven finishes, the faithful must affirm it. That's how cycles close completely by agreement. So as a prophetic act of acknowledgement, type this sacred number in the comments below. 333. 3 is the number of divine fullness, the reflection of Father, Son, and Spirit. Tripled, it becomes heaven's confirmation of total harmony. When you type 333, you are declaring, "I am aligned, I am zealed, I am complete." It may seem like a simple number, but it's not. It's a seal. It's your signature of agreement with heaven's decree. The angels record it, and time itself honors it. When you write 333, you tell creation, "I receive the completion heaven has written over my life." End 1. Chosen one. The sound of completion isn't loud, it's steady. It's the sound of doors closing softly behind you as new ones open with ease. It's the feeling of breathing freely again after years of pressure. It's the realization that you don't have to chase what's already yours. The work is done. The table is set. The chapter is written. All that remains is gratitude. So breathe, smile, and rest in it. Heaven has declared, it is done. Now type it now. Sambai Sanshrasan. As your echo to the divine. Let it mark your shift from striving to standing, from hoping to having, from waiting to walking in fulfillment. This moment is not a pause, it's a seal. What began in fire now ends in glory. The cycle has closed. The promise is fulfilled. You, chosen one, are complete. The transfer of heavenly wealth, chosen one. Heaven's abundance is not measured in coins or crowns, but in purpose fulfilled and peace unshaken. Yet the time comes when the spiritual overflow within you begins to manifest in tangible form, when what was once unseen starts shaping the visible. This is that time. The vaults of heaven have turned their hinges, and divine resources are being distributed into the hands of those who are ready, willing, and faithful. Do not think of this as mere prosperity. Think of it as partnership. Heaven is not sending wealth for luxury, but for legacy. You are not being enriched to gather more, but to give more. Divine provision comes with divine purpose. It flows where stewardship is proven. The one who trusted you with pain will now trust you with plenty, as the prophet wrote in the scroll of Deuteronomy, chapter 8, verse 18. But remember the Lord your God, For it is he who gives you the power to get wealth, that he may establish his covenant which he swore to your ancestors. O chosen one, divine wealth moves differently than earthly riches. It doesn't shout, it shifts. It doesn't boast, it builds. It doesn't flow to greed, it flows to generosity. You are about to experience increase in subtle but unmistakable ways, opportunities that multiply, ideas that bear fruit, doors that open without explanation. These are the currents of divine provision swirling around you. But remember this, heaven's wealth is not just silver and gold, it is wisdom, favor, and influence. The real treasure is insight, timing, and divine connection. God does not hand you coins, he hands you keys. Everything you've learned in the valley will now serve you on the mountain. The humility you built through waiting will protect you from pride in plenty. The empathy you gain through pain will teach you how to use blessing to heal others. Heaven never gives increase without purpose. It gives it so light can reach farther. Chosen one, think of divine wealth like a river. It never stops moving. The moment it stagnates, it spoils. Your role is not to dam it up, but to direct it. As it flows through you, it will clean what it touches, nourish who it reaches, and multiply whatever it fills. Your generosity will become your gateway to even more grace. Every time you release what's in your hand, heaven releases what's in its vault. That's the law of divine economy. Open hands attract open heavens. This transfer is not a transaction, it's a trust. Heaven is choosing you because you have proven that your heart won't idolize the gift above the giver. You've been faithful with little, and now the time has come for much. You may begin to notice subtle signs, unexpected provision, solutions to problems that once felt impossible, divine ideas that create streams of income without strain. These are not accidents, they are alignments. Heaven is showing you that favor is a strategy. It multiplies through movement, not manipulation. Do not fear this abundance. It won't change who you are. It will reveal who you've become. You are not the person who once begged for crumbs of hope. You are the one entrusted to distribute the loaves of grace. You are a steward of overflow. And with this wealth comes wisdom, wisdom to build, to bless, to bring restoration where scarcity once ruled. You will see lives changed, not because you hoarded blessing, but because you became its conduit. This is the moment when divine generosity finds human cooperation. You are being elevated to operate as a kingdom carrier, someone who walks into places of lack and leaves traces of abundance. The world will not understand how you give without losing, how you pour without running dry, how you sow and yet seem to reap faster than time allows. But you will know it's not you, it's heaven through you. Chosen one. The transfer has begun. You may not hear the sound of coins, but you will feel the shift of calling. You are becoming the answer to the prayers you once prayed. The same hands that once reached upward in desperation will now reach outward in compassion. Heaven's wealth is not for comfort, it's for commission. It equips you to build what others only dreamed of, to restore what others abandoned, to bless what others overlooked. And as you walk in this new flow, remember always, wealth does not define you, worship does. You are the vessel. The oil flows through you, not to you. And as long as you remain faithful to the source, the flow will never stop. When mercy meets majesty, chosen one, This is the place where heaven bends low and divinity becomes personal. You have seen God's power in storms and fire, but now you will know His gentleness in mercy. Majesty without mercy would terrify the human heart, but mercy makes majesty approachable, and that is where you stand now before the King who knows your name, not as a servant trembling in distance, but as a beloved who has survived the refining fire. For many seasons, you've felt the weight of expectation, the need to be strong, flawless, unshakable. You thought heaven demanded perfection when all it ever wanted was surrender. You tried to earn what was already yours. But when mercy enters, striving ceases. When majesty draws near, shame dissolves. The two meet not in the throne room of judgment, but in the quiet chambers of grace, as was spoken in the sacred texts of Ephesians, chapter 2, verse 4 and 5. But because of His great love for us, God, who is rich in mercy, made us alive with Christ, even when we were dead in transgressions. It is by grace you have been saved. I, chosen one. You are standing in that embrace right now. Heaven is not just observing you, it's welcoming you home. The King who rules galaxies has leaned close enough to whisper, I never left. This is not punishment's end, its presence's return. The beauty of mercy is that it doesn't demand explanation. It looks you in the eye and says, I understand. Majesty could have judged, but mercy chose to justify. Majesty could have spoken thunder, but mercy spoke tenderness. Together, they form the language of grace, the only language heaven speaks fluently to broken hearts. Do you remember the moments you thought God was silent? He wasn't ignoring you. He was waiting for you to stop running. Sometimes heaven hides not to punish, but to provoke pursuit, to bring you to the end of yourself, so you can finally begin with Him. When you ran out of strength, mercy carried you. When you ran out of words, majesty listened to your silence. That's what makes this moment holy. You're no longer trying to prove yourself. You're simply present. You've stopped bargaining and started breathing. You've stopped pretending and started perceiving. That is the moment heaven calls worship, not performance, but posture. Chosen one. There's a lightness settling upon you now. It's not emotional, it's spiritual. It's the weight of mercy lifting the burden of self-condemnation. It's the majesty of peace replacing the anxiety of control. You were never meant to earn divine favor. You were meant to embody it. Majesty and mercy together form the rhythm of redemption. Majesty reminds you who He is. Mercy reminds you who you are. Majesty says, I am holy. Mercy replies, and yet, I still choose you. The two truths together create unshakable confidence, not arrogance, but assurance. This is where transformation takes root. Once you encounter mercy, you stop judging others by their wounds because you've seen your own healed. Once you behold majesty, you stop comparing yourself to people because you finally understand you were made in the image of perfection itself. Now, when you look in the mirror, you no longer see just scars, you see stories. You no longer see failures, you see foundations. What you thought disqualified you has become the evidence of divine mercy's work. You are living proof that grace is stronger than guilt. Chosen one. Let this truth rest deep within you. The King of Majesty delights in showing mercy. He doesn't forgive reluctantly, He forgives joyfully. His throne is not guarded by fear, it's surrounded by compassion. When He looks at you, He doesn't see your past. He sees his purpose being fulfilled through your survival. Mercy has rewritten your story line by line. Majesty has crowned it with meaning. Together, they've turned what was once chaos into clarity. You no longer walk under condemnation. You walk under covering. You no longer serve from emptiness. You pour from overflow. This is the wonder of divine love. It restores without reminding. It heals without humiliating. It elevates without effort. You don't have to beg for it. You simply breathe it in. For where mercy meets majesty, guilt ends and glory begins. Chosen one, stay here in this peace a while. Let it wash the last fragments of striving from your soul. You are not who you were yesterday. You are a living declaration of mercy fulfilled and majesty revealed. Rise, subscribe, and shine your light, chosen one. Heaven's eyes are on you again, not to measure your perfection, but to magnify your purpose. You've walked through fire, through silence, through the long nights of not knowing, and yet here you stand unbroken, radiant, ready. You are no longer a hidden ember. You are a torch in motion, and torches are not meant to burn alone. They are meant to ignite others. This next part of your journey isn't just about receiving revelation, it's about releasing it. Heaven never lights a flame for it to stay private. Your light was made to travel, to touch, to testify. Every step you take, every word you speak, every story you share is a spark that can awaken another soul. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of John, chapter 8, verse 12, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. And that same light, chosen one, now burns inside you. It's not borrowed, it's breathed. When you rise, others see the reflection of that divine flame and remember that they, too, were made for radiance. That is why your story must be shared, not out of vanity, but out of victory. Think of your journey as a lighthouse standing by a restless sea. Ships lost in stormy waters search for one glimmer of direction, one steady beam that tells them land is near. You, beloved, are that beam for someone. When you tell your story, when you share your lessons, your faith, your survival, you become that steady signal calling others home. So, let your light move. Let it travel beyond you. When you like or share this message, you are not boosting content. You are extending a bridge. You are helping someone who is silently drowning in doubt find the shore of hope again. Your engagement is more than digital. It's divine. Picture it like planting seeds in a windstorm. You never know where they will land, but each one carries life. A click, a share, a comment. Each is a seed of light scattered across a field of hearts you may never meet. And heaven, the great gardener, waters them in ways you can't imagine. There's something sacred about small acts done with pure intention. When you interact with this message, you are saying, I believe light should travel. You are becoming a messenger without a pulpit, a voice without a stage. You are part of the living network of heaven's storytellers, spreading faith in simple, human ways. The beauty of light is that it doesn't compete, it completes. When one flame joins another, they don't dim, they multiply. That's what happens when you connect, when you comment, when you lend your voice. It's not about building numbers, it's about building brightness. The world doesn't need more noise, it needs more light. And your light carries something rare: authenticity. You don't speak as someone untouched by pain, but as someone transformed by it. Your testimony carries texture. It's real. It's raw. It's redemptive. That's why it resonates. The world doesn't need perfect people. It needs proven ones. Souls who have walked through shadows and still choose to shine. When you subscribe, think of it not as joining a page, but as joining a movement, a constellation of lights across the world. Every time you return, every time you engage, you strengthen that constellation. Together, we create a sky so bright that even the darkest soul can find direction. Heaven isn't asking you to preach, it's asking you to participate. Each interaction is an echo that says, "The light still lives here." You don't have to carry the whole fire, just your flame. The rest, heaven will multiply. And yes, chosen one, take a moment to leave a comment, a word, a phrase, something simple that testifies, "My light still burns," because it does. Against every odd, through every storm, it burns. There is something holy about this exchange. It's not just a broadcast, it's a bridge between hearts. Heaven sees every ripple of your engagement, every gesture of agreement, every act of faith you express. And as you lift your voice, even through a simple comment, the light grows stronger. So rise now, radiant one. Don't hide what heaven has healed. Let your light run freely across the world, like dawn spilling over mountains. Someone needs your glow to find their way through the night. And as you do, shine, share, and stay connected. Because the light you carry is not just yours, it's heaven's story written through you. The glory storm. Unleashed, chosen one. The air around you trembles with power. Something beyond human comprehension is unfolding. A shift so immense that it feels as though creation itself is holding its breath. The atmosphere thickens, charged with the vibration of answered prayers and fulfilled promises. Heaven's movement is no longer subtle. It is visible, tangible, unstoppable. You are standing in the center of what prophets once dreamed of, the glory storm. This is not a storm of destruction, but of transformation. It does not tear down, it builds anew. It does not drown, it baptizes. The winds you feel are not against you, they are carrying you. The glory storm is what happens when heaven's realm collides with earth's obedience. It begins as a whisper, but swells into a roar. You can sense it in the strange order of recent events, doors opening suddenly, burdens lifting quietly, hearts softening unexpectedly. These are not coincidences, they are tremors of divine movement. As written in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 14, "For the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord, as the waters cover the sea." That prophecy is not distant, it is now. You are witnessing the spreading of that glory, waves of awareness sweeping through souls, families, and nations. What once felt small is expanding beyond borders. What once seemed impossible is happening effortlessly. Chosen one. Glory storms are not comfortable. They uproot what cannot stay. They expose what must heal. They shake foundations not to destroy them, but to strengthen them. You may feel moments of uncertainty, as though the ground beneath you is shifting, and it is. Heaven is rearranging everything that no longer aligns with purpose. But within the turbulence, there is beauty. The same wind that bends trees also spreads seeds. The same rain that floods also fertilizes. The same thunder that shakes the air also awakens the sleeping. Every moment of chaos within this storm hides the choreography of divine design. The glory storm carries with it more than presence, it carries transformation. It touches minds, renewing thought patterns. It enters homes, reconciling hearts long estranged. It flows through the weary, reviving dreams thought dead. When this storm passes, nothing untouched by love will remain unchanged. Chosen one. This is why you endured the silence. The stillness before the storm was not neglect. It was necessary. Heaven needed you steady before it poured out the surge. If the downpour had come earlier, you might have drowned in blessing unprepared. But now you are anchored. Now you can receive without breaking. You will notice that glory doesn't just visit places, it inhabits people. It begins within before it bursts outward. You are that vessel now. The radiance you feel stirring inside is not imagination, it's manifestation. The spirit within you is expanding, seeking expression through every word, every gesture, every act of love. When glory comes, woman effort, fathers, you no longer strive, you surrender, you no longer perform, you embody. The presence moves through you like wind through an open field, natural, effortless, divine. This is what it means to live in flow, not friction. Look around, and you'll see it everywhere. In conversations that suddenly heal instead of harm. In ideas that appear like lightning and solve what logic couldn't. In moments where peace descends without explanation. These are the sparks of the glory storm settling across your atmosphere. You are not just witnessing it, you are part of it. Glory doesn't fall around you, it rises from within you. Heaven's brilliance doesn't hover above, it shines through. The Creator has chosen your life as a canvas for His radiance. Every scar becomes shimmer. Every broken place reflects light. Every word you speak now carries the weight of eternity. Chosen one. When glory storms arrive, fear tries to whisper that it's too much. But remember, the storm does not come to crush, but to crown. You were made for this level of presence. Your spirit was designed to house divine intensity. You were never fragile. You were always flame waiting for breath. So let the winds blow. Let the rain fall. Let the light flash across every corner of your soul. Don't hide from it. Open yourself to it. The more you yield, the stronger the flow. The more you surrender, the more heaven shows itself through you. And when the storm subsides, the world will not look the same. The air will be clearer. The ground will be richer. And those who encounter you will feel it. They'll sense that you carry weather from another realm. For you, beloved, are the calm within the storm, and the storm within the calm. The glory does not just surround you, it has become you, the final anointing. Heaven confirms your miracle chosen. 1. The journey that began in longing now ends in fulfillment. What you once whispered in the dark has been spoken aloud in heaven's courts. The oil that was promised is being poured. The crown that waited is being placed. And the miracle that lingered just beyond reach is stepping fully into your reality. This is not imagination, it is manifestation. Heaven has not forgotten even one detail. The process was long because the promise was large. What took years to grow roots will now rise quickly, bursting forth with strength that cannot be shaken. You are no longer becoming, you are every trial, every test. Every tear has shaped you into the vessel, now ready to carry glory without fear and blessing without breaking. The ancient words recorded in the book of Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 1 proclaim, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." Lie. This is that rising. This is the light that does not fade. The final anointing is not just oil on your head, it's light in your spirit, peace in your soul, and clarity in your purpose. It settles like dew, not with thunder, but with tenderness. You don't need to chase it. You only need to breathe it in. Chosen one. Heaven confirms miracles, not through spectacle, but through stillness. When the noise fades, when striving ends, when your heart becomes quiet enough to hear its own divine rhythm, that's when the anointing descends. It is not always loud. Sometimes it comes as a whisper of assurance that says, "It's done." You will feel it in small ways first. A renewed calm, a deeper joy, a sense that time itself has shifted in your favor. Doors open not with effort, but with ease. Conversations flow in alignment. The heaviness you once carried turns into lightness that seems almost unfamiliar. That's the confirmation, the absence of resistance. Heaven's yes is gentle but firm. It doesn't demand attention, it commands reality. What God has sealed cannot be unsealed. The oil that rests upon you now will not fade, it will increase with every act of faith, every moment of gratitude. You have become a walking testimony of divine completion. The final anointing marks transition from asking to abundance, from waiting to walking, from hoping to holding. It means you no longer need to prove your worthiness. Heaven already did. It means your prayers no longer climb upward, they now flow outward, touching those around you with quiet power. You are no longer seeking favor, you are carrying it. Chosen one. You may notice the world responding differently to you now. Some will sense peace when you enter. Others will find courage simply by standing near you. That's what happens when heaven confirms a miracle. The anointing spills over, changing the atmosphere without effort. Remember, this oil was costly. It was pressed from seasons of crushing, drawn from the olive trees of pain and patience. You paid for it with perseverance, and heaven paid for it with purpose. Now it rests on you, fragrant and eternal. Nothing can counterfeit it. Nothing can remove it. Walk with that awareness, not arrogance, but assurance. You have become the embodiment of answered prayer, the fulfillment of prophecy, the visible proof that God finishes what He begins. And though this chapter closes, it does not end. Heaven's story continues. Through you, every act of kindness, every word of encouragement, every silent prayer you breathe will carry the same anointing that crowned you today. The journey was long, but it was never wasted. The pain was real, but it was never pointless. The miracle you now hold is not only for you, it is heaven's signature written across your life for all to see. Chosen one. The final anointing has settled. The miracle is confirmed, and the glory that rests upon you will never depart. Chosen one. The journey has reached its holy stillness. You've walked through revelation, release, and restoration, and now heaven rests upon you like evening light after the storm. But this is not the end, it's the unfolding. What you've received here is not just words, it's oil, it's fire, it's seed, It was never meant to stop in your heart. It was meant to ripple outward, awakening others who are still searching for the same light you now carry. Think of your story as a candle newly lit at dawn. Its flame is steady, but fragile only if left alone. When you let it touch another wick, when you like, share, or speak, it multiplies. One small light can become a sunrise. You have that power now. Every click, every gesture of faith, every word of agreement is not a routine act. It's a ripple in eternity. When you share this message, imagine casting bread upon the waters, never knowing whose hunger it will satisfy. When you subscribe, picture yourself stepping into an unbroken circle of light, a community of those who dare to believe. And when you comment just a phrase, a whisper from your soul, you're adding your name to heaven's ongoing story. Do it not for attention, but for alignment. Do it because somewhere, someone is praying for a sign, and your voice may be the answer. So as you close your eyes and take one last deep breath, let these words echo softly. The miracle continues through you. The light doesn't fade, it flows. The world still needs your glow. Rise, chosen one. Share your fire. Speak your faith. Stay connected. Heaven is not done with you, it's only begun.